All right, it's the after show. Thank you so much for joining us, Comic Fan, for continuing the conversation because we have more news. Scholastic is teaming up with Marvel. What's going on?
Yeah, they're doing a multi-year deal where they're putting out comic-based, but in more of a book format, where they're introducing some new characters with also the tie-ins of classic heroes in them. And I remember Scholastic. I mean, I used to order books from that when I was younger. So they're really trying to draw on a younger readership and keep growing and nurturing a continued interest in comics.
Remember the book fair?
Oh, yeah.
Scholastic book fair at school.
It's like the one thing my mom would give me money for. She's like, oh, you want to get some books? And I would go and try to find like pencils and anything other than books.
I bought Captain Underpants. I was that kid.
Heck yeah, you did like the page swipe, back and forth, and you make them move.
It had poop in it in toilets.
Yeah.
You love saying tra-la-la.
Exactly. I was on board.
Heck yeah, getting my Animorph fix,
Exactly.
And that's kind of why I wanted to bring this up, because aside from seeing that Marvel and DC has done kind of similar things in the last year, trying to get kids into comics, this is unique because I think it shows that it's difficult to do. Comics are becoming more expensive. It's harder to sell comics as it is, let alone make comic books that are going to be appealing to kids and that will keep the print counts, enough to make it worth doing. That's why we saw Walmart getting comic books on the shelves. That's why we're seeing DC make unique kids comic books. And now we're seeing Scholastic team up with Marvel and creating actual books. It excites me because we need to have the younger audience get into comics as well. And I credit comic books for getting me into reading at all.
I think you'll be surprised. I have 2 kids, and you will be surprised on how many comic-like books in book format they have at like a Barnes & Noble. If you go there and you go into the young reader section, just about everything is like that in a book format. So it's a really popular way that people, for a while now, really, because, you were you doing Captain Underpants for crying out loud? How long ago was that? Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them like that. So
Scott Pilgrim.
20 years almost at this point. Holy moly.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm sure they've had it already. But, to hear a new deal is continuing, that's great news. And obviously, as a parent, you're not going to let your kid order a comic book off of Scholastic. You put it in a book format, most likely,
Get it past the parents.
You get it past the parents.
They won't know.
So that stigma again.
I want to know it from you guys. So, like for me, I grew up on comics, and I read a bunch of Bone and other things. But before I get into that, like, what did you guys read when you were younger?
I read whatever was on the rack at my local 7-Eleven, which I lived across the street from a 7-Eleven. So I would go to Spinner Rack and pick up books. But I'll tell you, one of the earliest memories I had about reading was a graphic novel for the Dark Phoenix Saga.
Oh, okay.
I remember just getting it. It was like this gray bordered book and reading that, and I was just like blown away. Couldn't even believe it. I was like, what is this? This is so amazing. And it wasn't, it was already a little bit older at that time.
Yeah, there's like some kind of major themes in there.
Yeah, I mean, huge characters, a deep storyline, and just like devastation and drama, and it was so cool at that age.
I didn't read comics when I was little. I didn't find comics until like middle school or high school.
Sure.
But I was a freaky avid reader as a kid. I was like, if you want to go way back, it was like Berenstain Bears and Curious George and stuff when I was like real little. But then you graduate up to like Captain Underpants, and there was like Goosebumps in there. There was Animorphs in there. I was a real big fan of Roald Dahl, like Matilda and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach, all those kind of books. And then, eventually graduated up into comic books.
What were you reading in your like teen years?
Oh, Stephen King.
Yeah.
Michael Crichton, Stephen King. I was into like horror.
I was into all of the short stories by Stephen King, like Skeleton Crew and all that.
Yeah.
It's all a good classic. Really messed up stories. I really enjoyed that. Would read them with my dad. And I remember being in high school, at gym class, for whatever reason, they would do a like reading section. Like, all right, it's PE, but because it's at the end of, because I always had PE at the very end of the day for whatever reason. And end of the day, it was like school wide, no matter what class you were in, they added like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. It actually may have even been a little longer, like a half hour to the class. And you would have to read. It was like, it's reading time. So I had PE for an hour, but they would have a half-hour extended period where we would read. So I'd literally be on the gym floor, and they would make us read. So I remember like needing to have a book, and my dad giving me Hellblazer, Dangerous Habits.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a terrible book to give to a kid.
It is a terrible book to give to a youth. So
The Ute?
the Utes, that's what I was going to I was going for the Utes. It didn't come out right.
It's hard to do a singular Ute.
Right?
One Ute.
One Ute. Are you familiar with My Cousin Vinny?
Moderately.
There you go.
There's Utes in My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah. Utes, what are Utes? But yeah, getting your tire stuck in the mud. But yeah, I remember reading Dangerous Habits on the gym floor and having the gym teacher argue with me about that not being a book. And I had to explain to him about how, like, no, you see Constantine, he's a character, and he's doing deals with the devil because
I'm
he
sure
has
they love that.
cancer.
Yeah.
And I had to like explain, because they were like, tell me what it's about, because what they were thinking is I was just looking at pages. So they were testing me. What is the book about? And I explained to him about how, oh, he's got cancer and he's got to fight off, he's all this kind of stuff. And I just went through the storyline with this gym teacher, and I just remember them looking at me like, I just got to stop talking to this kid.
You're making it worse.
Yeah, he just walked away from me. And I remember telling my dad that, and he's just laughing, because
Kids
my dad
talking
didn't
about
care.
Satan and demons and spells and stuff. They're probably going to send you to the principal's office.
It was pretty funny. But yeah, man, it was like, because I couldn't, like, it was weird. Like, I struggled at reading, and to this day, I can't really read fiction. Like, or excuse me, yeah, I can't really read fiction. Like, anything that isn't real. I read a page, and then I forget what I read. I start thinking about other things as I read it. And it's been like that since I was little. Just, I don't know. It's like, I don't have any like short attention span or anything like that. I can't pay attention. I don't have, my imagination doesn't take the story off. I can't think of what the characters sound like. I can't picture things. And I know a lot of people can. And I was kind of jealous about that. But with comics, I had a little help with that. And, seeing the characters, it kind of helped me get there. And that's what actually taught me how to read. People say that all the time in this industry. Like, I didn't read. I learned how to read. I legit couldn't read without comic books. So I appreciate seeing, publishers try and grow readership. And also, I have this itty bitty Hellboy here. This is by Art Baltazar, and he's my homie. He's like family, and he's pretty much dedicated his life to creating comic books, and a lot of his comic books are made for kids. So it's definitely a cool thing. I try to support All Yeah Comics and the itty bitty franchise, Tiny Titans, as much as I can, because it's important to me to get kids into comics, because that's really helped me in my life and really my profession now that I'm older. So that's kind of fun. Little fun stories there. Another thing I wanted to chat with you guys about is about Grails. I get asked this sometimes, like, what are you hunting for? What is your Grail? And my Grails change. My Grails change all the time, but there's one that's eluded me for over a decade. But then I thought, heck, mine's kind of lame. I want to know what Jeff's Grail is, because yours has got to be pretty extreme. So, Jeff, why don't you kick this conversation off? Then, Ryan, you share what your Grail would be.
Yeah, like, my Grails for me at the moment are kind of on the more extreme end, like you mentioned. I've been really trying to acquire Captain America Comics 1, and it's frustrating because I've been close so many times. Like, I've just missed out, and like, in a 5-year span, probably 4 or 5 times, had it pass by me, just missed it. Almost bought a copy, realized it was a married centerfold, so passed on it. It would have been a great pickup. I still probably should have bought it in hindsight now.
Would you buy it now?
I would buy now. And there's 2 others, because it's kind of a 3-way tie, is All American Comics 16, which is the first appearance of Green Lantern, a really tough book in the Golden Age, okay? And then Marvel Comics 1. I mean, those are my 3 big extreme Grails for me. And unfortunately, they've all blown up to this like astronomical level that I just have to hope that I find it in the wild at some point. And that's just kind of where I'm stuck with these now. And then for more of a realistic Grail, I'm really looking for Catman 20. And
Catman, you really like Catman, don't you?
I like Catman comics, but really this one specifically, there's something about this cover. And there's a lot of great books that I do like. Fantastic Comics 3, Suspense Comics 3 as well. Just a lot of cool books. Catman number 20 is just more realistic. And for me, I lost a lot of family members in World War II. So this is actually Catman standing behind Hitler, okay, right in front. It's so close up in his face. And he's just strangling him, strangulating him with his hands, okay, really up close. And he's just kind of got this like Mona Lisa smile, but a little bit more than that, a little bit of a smirk. So it's just such a cool book and a tough book. And it's usually kind of doled out on the cover, so I'm looking for something a little brighter white. So it's a very specific copy that I want, because when I get it, I really want it to be a nice copy, because it is obtainable.
Gotta have that eye appeal.
But I want it to be bright. I want it to have nice eye appeal and just be like excited to have it. That's my story on my Grails at the moment.
I like it. And do they change for you over time? Like, do you add some to your list at all? Or those been there for a while?
It's been there for a while. I mean, Golden Age, like I said, there's always something cool to be exposed to. You're like, oh wow, I never saw that before. So you'll add that to your short list. But the ones I really want, that's one of my
Yeah.
grails.
I feel like maybe Tom should go next because mine's gonna be disappointing. I'm just gonna let people down, like always.
No, just let us know because you're a fairly new collector. I mean,
Right.
I like hearing your opinion on this stuff because you focus on the comics first, the reading first above all else. And then now that you're getting
Yeah.
into collecting, because here's the thing, man, you say that you're not as much of a collector, but then I see you picking up variants. I see you eyeing comic books just to own them. And that's
Yeah.
how it starts, man. That's
Maybe
how it
that's
all
true.
starts for everyone. And heck, I remember picking up FF20 for you because of your love for J.R.R. Martin.
George, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh,
and
what? Oh, I
George
just
R.
mixed it
Martin.
up. George,
You're
what
mixing
am I
up
saying?
fantasy authors.
That's because I'm watching so much Lord of the Rings.
There's all those R's in there
I know,
that really
right?
throw you off.
George R.R. Martin.
I guess that's my most treasured comic in my collection would be the FF20. That one's pretty awesome. His first published work
Yeah, he wrote a fan letter to Stan Lee.
as a kid, yeah.
That's right.
Into Fantastic Four. But I already have that now. So I don't know. I really like Green Lantern, as you know. And I guess Showcase 22 would be kind of cool to get, like Hal Jordan's first appearance.
It's an awesome cover, man. Great book, Silver Age.
I know a few of my close friends in this little miniature like Green Lantern community on Instagram have it.
It's growing.
Shout out G Comic Queen and Thanatos. You guys got some very pretty showcase issues, and I guess I would like one, but like it's not a driving factor in my comic passion. I guess
Not
I would
yet.
rather. I really want to get like I would much rather right now anyway. Maybe later. Maybe you're right. But right now, I'm really, really looking at like absolute comics, like the $100 plus, like oversized, thick pages,
Ooh,
like
okay.
glossy hardcover collections, like gem mint status.
Heck yeah.
Like that's what I want to be, but not the statues because I'll break those. But the big, juicy hardcovers is what I'm looking at. Like
It's a lot to look at,
that
man.
gets me going.
It's really good.
Yes.
All right. Mine is Salt Lake City Comic Con, the pamphlet that was given out
Oh no.
in Minnesota. Yes. So what happened was in 1991, Mike Mignola was a featured artist at this convention, and he was asked to draw a cover for the giveaway that they would hand out at this tiny, tiny show. A lot of these were thrown out, if not like probably 50% of them, if not more. And this is a freaking small show. These things don't exist. I've never seen one before, never seen one in person. However, I've seen one on eBay, and it was totally missed by an entire community of people because this is before I ever was collecting, and it went for an absurdly low amount. And since then, it has been saved on my eBay searches with the only alert that I have currently for over a decade. It has never come up again, and it is the first prototype of Hellboy. It's a demon-looking character. Doesn't look like Hellboy at all. He has 4 horns. He's got Hellboy written on a belt. It was the first time that Mike Mignola thought of the name. He threw it on the belt. He thought it kind of sounded cool. Put Hellboy on the belt, and it's the first prototype of Hellboy. And yeah, it's eluded me. I found one on the internet once because I was shopping San Diego Comic-Con #2, and a Hellboy collector put one up, and I saw in his he took the picture on display in his bedroom, and in the back corner, I spotted the bottom right leg. So I DM'd him, and I'm like, yo, is that it? Can you send me a picture of it? Is that it? And he's like, oh, it is. And I'm like, what do you want for it? Like, please just give me an
Name your
absurd
price. Yeah.
amount. And he's like, I would decline a $5,000 offer, is what he told me. And that's the only time I've ever seen it. And yeah, that was it.
$5,001.
That's right. I'll give you 5,001. But
There
you
you
know
go.
what? I'm still hunting for it. And you know what? There was another person who apparently had one on the CGC forum that I'm like, yo, Jeff, use your CGC account. Please DM this person. And they never got back to us.
No, they're not very active on there. So I think that post was several years ago, and I don't think that person's really been back. I left a message, so maybe one day they'll check their box and get back to me. But
I don't know. Maybe I'll be reporting one day. I threw out to the ether. I started posting a little bit about it on Instagram, hoping someone may find one. Maybe they'll reach out to me, but I don't know. I'm hoping one day I'll find one. Probably won't, but you know what? That's my Grail. That's the one that's eluded me, just like your Cap 1. Not as cool as a Cap 1, but I have some other ones I'm after too. Flash 123 is a big book for me. I picked up a Flash 105 at the California Con, Cal Comic Con, which was another book that meant a lot to me that I was hunting for a while. But those are pretty attainable, especially in lower grades. So, I like the scarce stuff. I like the stuff that I know that I'm not going to see again. And now that I'm getting into more gold, my search has widened. So maybe I'll be reporting on some new Grails soon.
Yeah, that gold rabbit hole you go down it goes deep. So,
black hole, man.
Yeah, it really is, because I'm still, as deep as I'm into gold, I mean, it's always seeing something new all the time to want.
Thanks, Comic Fam. We appreciate you. We'll see you next Sunday.